fellow, you got another pin. Your past president, you got another pin. But I was going to try to find everybody that didn't wear their pin today. And as best I can tell, Mike Clayton and I are the only ones got on a pin. Oh, excuse me. I knew if I said that, somebody would raise their hand. But, so we're not going to do that today.
It's coming.
But I think it ought to come because the late, great Ron Link, whenever he was sergeant at arms, he would always announce there was an extra fine if you did not wear your Rotary pin. So, y'all got a break today because so many of you didn't wear your pin. Yes?
Okay, if you get a tattoo on your chest.
That, you get extra credit for that. We'll give you the money. We have any guests today? Yes, sir.
Captain Fred McLaren. Captain Fred McLaren here, and he wanted to say a little bit something about himself.
Will I say something about myself?
If you'd like to, yes.
Go ahead.
As long as you're through by 2 o'clock.
Okay. Hi, I'm Fred McLaren. My wife and I just moved here a couple of years ago. I'm transferred from the Boulder Rotary Club. I was affiliated with that off and on 24 years. But my time in Rotary goes back about 60 years. Just to briefly tell you, I was a career nuclear submariner and commander, and then went the academic route, got my doctorate in the University of Colorado. Then I got back into diving in my late 60s and 70s and dived Titanic twice for the Russians. I was on the team with National Geographic and then was told to make the first manned dives to the German battleship Bismarck at 16,000 feet. And then I'm also a pilot, so I test flew a submersible for designer Graham Hawks that you fly like an airplane down to 1,500 feet, and I did that almost till age 86. Now I'm 91 going on 92, and my motto in life has always been anything to avoid yard work.
Sir, I think we need a program on January 16th. If you come back, I think we can do that. Yes, sir.
I'd like to introduce Becky Biddy Woodruff, who's one of my favorite people.
Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I have a guest who actually is being currently hosted by Vivian Clark in the back. This is my colleague from Habitat for Humanity, Chrissy Dunn.
Yes, sir.
And I have with me the famous, talented Pamela Hebner, who will not be making a speech here today.
Any more? Distant Rotarians? Somebody just came in off the street? Whatever. Okay. November 17th. Found out a couple things that happened today in history. In 1800, the U.S. Congress met in the new Capitol building for the first time. In 1968, the famous Haiti football game. How many people remember that? When NBC decided to switch off the game between the Raiders and the Jets, that ended up being going into overtime, very dramatic. They switched to show Haiti. So that's why today, when NFL games go on past 7 o'clock, that's why 60 Minutes gets bumped back because of the Haiti rule. And 50 years ago today, 1973, Richard Nixon said, "The American people deserve to know whether their president is a crook. I am not a crook." I know we had to clean up our Sergeant at Arms Act through the years, so I just want y'all to know that I'm going to read a couple of excerpts here. This book came out of the University United Methodist Church Library. so it should meet our standards. These are bloopers from church bulletins. The peacemaking meeting scheduled for today has been canceled due to a conflict. During the absence of our minister, we enjoyed a rare privilege of hearing a good sermon. And H.F. Stubbs was in the pulpit. Bertha Belch, a missionary from Africa, will be speaking tonight at the Methodist Church. Come hear Bertha Belch all the way from Africa. For those of you who have children and don't know it, we have a nursery downstairs. The associate minister unveiled the church's new tithing campaign slogan last Sunday. I upped my pledge, up yours. The Diet Club will meet Thursday night at 7:30 p.m. Please use the large double doors on the side entrance. And the Ladies Society will be selling their new cookbook at the church supper this Wednesday night. Proceeds will help purchase a stomach pump for the community hospital. Well, now I've got a little confession. We've been talking about the four-way test quite a bit lately. And I have to say, earlier this week, I violated part of the four-way test. I don't think I violated all four parts, but I'll tell you a little bit how it happened. I've also told y'all many times about fun things I do as usher at the Carolina basketball games. And I get to stand down there on the side, and particularly before the games, people walk by. I get to speak to people I know and don't know, and all that kind of thing, have a good time talking to people. And just about every game, Cliff and Linda Butler walk by me. Now, I'm never quite sure where Cliff and Linda sit, because they got seats, but they got so many friends who invite them to sit at different places. Sometimes he's sitting up there with the chancellor, but about every game they're coming down there by me, so they've always got a good seat. And Cliff is always introducing me to some pharmacist from Chadburn, or somebody from Dunn, or some relative of his, or something like that. And it's always fun. Well, this past game, this last Sunday afternoon, Cliff walks in, and he's got this lady walking with him. I think Linda was back behind somewhere. This he's walking in, and he says, "Bob, tell this lady who the best pharmacist is you've ever seen." And without hesitation, I said, "Linda Butler." And so then Linda came along, I told her the story, and she liked it, she appreciated it. Well, then the next night, we were at Top of the Hill for the Mac Brown radio show. Cliff and Linda were there. So as it was over, Cliff was leaving, and he walked by and he said, "I just want you to know I was voted Pharmacist of the Year one time." And I said, "I don't care." So, Cliff, that probably didn't all meet the four-way test. It was the truth. It might not have been fair. It didn't bring goodwill and fellowship. And I don't think it was beneficial for all. President Mike.
Happy Friday, everybody. Good to see everybody here today. Couple of things. Ed Loudermilk, I think you got one. Couple things about our wonderful bike project.
This year and last year, we did not have bike night. Usually we had bike night when we brought the bikes in the box. Thinking that put them together and made pizza go away. But last 2 years, we got the bikes already assembled. That was partly because of COVID, but for whatever reason, this year, 40-some bikes were picked up Wednesday afternoon, a walk-around crew and taken to storage. They will remain in storage until December the 1st, when they will go to Christmas house at Binkley. That's the good news. When do they need help? They need the Christmas house sign-up list online. All of the responses have been filled. There wasn't about 4 or 5 of them, but that was with one person. If you got some time on Saturday and you just want to drop out and see what you can do, they're certainly welcome it. There's no official sign-up list for that, but they can use all the help they get. And more bikes and helmets will be delivered to Binkley on December 1. And they may be able to use some help getting the first in order. So everything's going to box through with the stacked up like that way. You show up, they can find something for you to do it. There is no, like I said, there's no way to sign up on a list like that. So that's a bit unfortunate. But if you show up, they'll find something for you to do.
And what time would be the best time to show up?
For December 1st, I'll probably show up in the afternoon. That's Friday. We'll have a meeting. We'll drop by and get crowd and it's sing out. And then Saturday, the giveaways, everything is there to be done. But like I said, if you want to drop by and help out, that would be good. Once again, there's no way to have a list because it didn't work out like that. And I've had some folks sign up and offer, and I'll send them back emails if there's any news that comes up. I'll ask our editor to send out a special issue bulletin to have that. But right now, we're in good hands and good shape. Not good hands, mine, but everything's looking like it's going to happen.
Thank you. I think we're going to go ahead and 50 bikes this year, which is pretty cool. We've got a great partner with the bicycle chain that Ed has done a fantastic job working this project this year for us, picking up the gauntlet, so to speak. Joe, I think you got something about Family House from last night.
The president is.
Please don't attack Bob Woodruff. Oh.
Yeah, well, is it why?
Well, I'm trying to be kind here.
Oh, okay. So the president's asked me to be brief, which is a real chore. I see that. Last night we had a big crowd at Family House. We had people from Fresno, California, Boston, Massachusetts, 2 people from New York City, 4 people from Florida, as well as Columbia, South Carolina, Little River, South Carolina, and everywhere in North Carolina. And it was a great night because despite the fact that Liz, Hickey didn't come, despite the fact that Linda Simon didn't show up and didn't send her husband Brian, we were able, because of all of you, to give them everything they wanted. And so it was really a great night. And I want to call out our Colorado specialist here, who Larry cooked pizzas. Larry actually cooked pizzas. And of course he broke one of the key tenets of Rotary. He was advertising his son's new business in Pittsburgh. Hoops Pizzeria, or Pizzeria, what? Yeah, but it's Hoops. But it was a great night, and I thank all of y'all for supporting us, because they are so appreciative of everything you do. So thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Great job of doing that. I want to put a couple quick things. We have our holiday party coming up at the Carolina Club, December 14th. Got a sign-up sheet here for some of you non-technical folks. Looking for a good crowd. Should be a fun evening, great food, good on nerves. There will be dessert, I promise. So I'm gonna get this started. Pass that around, please. Thank you. Mike. If you've already signed up, don't worry about it. But everybody's in alphabetical order. The cost is $75 for a single, $140 for a couple. That includes the dinner, appetizers, drinks, and getting to hang out with me. I mean, what's the price of admission there? Yes, Mr. Maker.
Bob Spranzi asked me to tell this joke. Why did the non-binary prospector move out west? Because there's gold in them there hills. Hills. Them there, get it?
And on that note, oh, by the way, this will be our last meeting. We'll be having a Thanksgiving holiday next week. Everybody have a good time with that. I'm going to get Jennifer up here now to introduce today's speaker. Quiet in the back, please.
Hello, well, what an honor to get to introduce one of my sheroes, Miss Susan Gravely. Before I do that, a couple of very quick announcements. Susan and the team at VHRE have graciously donated a pack of napkins for your enjoyment. If you didn't get one, then please see Brett in the back and she can definitely help you with that. We also have some books here, children's books, and Susan's new book, Italy on a Plate, that you can have signed, and they make wonderful holiday gifts. And apparently she also has donated a few other items, so if you stay to the end, we'll have a little raffle. And I think she also donated the box for our fine basket today, so it really came in handy. Really came in handy today. Susan, I met on I think my very first week on the job at Habitat, which was almost 10 years ago, and she has remained a friend and mentor, cheerleader for Habitat. In fact, the Italy on the Plate book, a portion of those proceeds will go to help Habitat's solar program, which, as y'all know, was started right here at East Chapel Hill Rotary Club. So Susan is extending that philanthropy and does so much for the community. You can read her bio there. She's a creative genius. She's a shrewd businesswoman who I hope maybe you'll hear about the way that she transitioned the company during COVID to not only survive, but really thrive and make it through the global pandemic. And I have really enjoyed over the years hearing about Susan as a leader and how deeply she cares about the people who work at VHRE, all the way down to everybody who works in the warehouse at VHRE, and how much she cares for them. And I know they know that, and that to me says that's a mark of a true leader. So please welcome up Susan Gravely. We have a wireless, right? Yes, we'll give you a wireless. Get going and we'll get you a wireless.
I don't do really well behind a podium because I think as most of you who have been entrepreneurs or run businesses, you pace a lot. And so this works better for me. So thank you so much. Let's see, yeah. So thank you all for letting me be here. It's wonderful to see some really special friends of mine that are all here and that I love dearly, and have been mentors of mine for 40 years. Sweet Jim Hefner sent me this long tome of ideas about what to talk about, and not be a book store, but be business. And for those of you that I love and love me, I'm a lot about business. So I'm really looking forward to telling you the story. I do want to introduce my sister, Frances Gravely, who's here. All the credit, because my mother and sister and I started this company. We were raised in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. My father was a third-generation tobacconist, and as you know, in Rocky Mount, it was either tobacco or cotton or some business related to tobacco and cotton. And Daddy worked all over the world, and the lucky thing for us as children is that they would come and eat, because in Rocky Mount there was the country club and the Pizza Inn, and that was about it. So being at home, entertaining, meeting people from all over the world, as a child being seen but not heard unless you were asked a question, was a great life experience. We had a stand-up globe, and Daddy, every time someone would come, he'd say, "This is Harare, Zimbabwe, and here's Rocky Mount. Look how small the world is. You're only a plane ticket or a phone call away. So travel was a very important part of our life. I will tell you that the way we met Brian and Maury Keeler was that Brian's father was a tobacconist in Zimbabwe, worked with my father. When his father died, his mother was the only woman in the world to run a tobacco company. Brian and Maura came to New York for Brian to complete his MBA, came down to Rocky Mount, and then moved to Chapel Hill for Maura to finish her residency. And Daddy called and said, would you please go over there and meet them, which I did. And through these many years that we've been friends, I was single until I was 44. Their house was on the way home. And it was no less than 3 nights a week. I would go over there, have dinner, and be honored to help raise their 3 girls. So that is the way our life was all the time. So Daddy had rheumatic heart disease. Had rheumatic fever when he was a little boy, and during those times, you would eventually have to have your mitral valve replaced. Well, that was a new thing, so he had 3 of them because he kept coming unstitched. And he went all the way into having Guillain-Barré, where he couldn't walk, and I would stand at our dining room table watching Daddy walk around the park like this, learning how to walk again. And that was another lesson learned all of our life, which is we can do it. There's nothing we can't do. We walk straight. If we can't find the way straight, you turn right or left or turn around, but you keep going. And that was our way of living. Daddy got better. He sold his company at 60, went down to Valdosta, Georgia to introduce the new owners to the Italian conglomerate. They were the tobacco was government owned at that time, came back, didn't feel well, had a heart attack and died. Well, he and Mom had planned a trip. And on that trip, before the trip, I'll tell you one thing of lessons learned that has been something I think about every day. We were 18 plus 9, 27, about 30 and 33 when Daddy died, and we didn't know about a will. A will was something that would be given to Mama. But we were invited to the attorney's office, and with that, the attorney said that Daddy had written a codicil, and the codicil said, "Dearest Francis, Susan, Stephen Page, I want to tell you how much I love you and how proud I am of each of you and how I know you will be honest, you will be fair to the world, and you will make a difference. I don't know when you'll be reading this, but in your life of hard work and focus, I want to make sure that you take this $2,000 I leave each of you and blow it on a good time." It's such a wonderful thing. I've not done it, I will do it. To have a handwritten note from you for your children, your grandchildren, that might not ever be read for another 50 years. But that's something I'll never forget, and I'd like to share with everybody. So, I was in New York. Frances was in Chapel Hill and just had her second baby. I had moved to New York because at 30, right before Daddy died, at 29, I came home from a long weekend seeing a fellow that we had broken up that weekend. And I was in my little cottage that was owned by the Fridays when he was president, and I was fast asleep. And I saw somebody come towards me, and I thought it was my brother, and it wasn't, and I was raped. It was a really tough thing, but I got out, and those are the years where you looked at all these pictures of people, and there I saw him, and we ended up going to court. Well, Daddy had not been well, so I was at Francis's. Mama came. And then that afternoon, Daddy came, and the first thing he said again was, well, what are we going to do about it? I never felt anger from him or her. We were going to go to court, which we did. I tell you this story because it took me 30 years to tell it. And it's another one of those inclusive things in this world today that you never know what someone's been through. And for my company and Francis's company, the most important thing to us is that person in the warehouse all the way up to a 39-year-old president now. They are equally admired. We have an open way of, if there's a problem, we converse with them and we talk with them, and they feel safe, and they, I think, really like working at Rotary. So, you know, it's so funny sitting here and telling you this gentleman who I don't know is really giving me a lot of comfort, because I feel like I'm going to sweat, I'm going to throw up. I've just told y'all a deep secret, but I'm telling you, and I'm telling you because we as women and you as men, we're in this thing together, right? And we're all who we are, the way we approach life and the way we feel about each other. And that's something I see in this room with all the Rotary members. So let's get back to a happy thing, which was our trip. So Mama called me, and Francis did not call the two brothers and invited us on the trip Mom and Daddy had planned. Well, another thing that Mama would always say is, if you can't travel better than you live at home, then don't travel. So we couldn't afford to travel like Mama. So, but we always stopped everything we did and went with her. We took a trip. Francis wanted to go all'Italia because Francis is a little more sassy than I am. And we went on this plane, and Francis has to use the ladies' room, and those were the years where it was ladies' bathrooms and men's bathrooms on the airplane. She went right up to business class, waited in line for the bathroom. We were not in business class. And she starts talking to an Italian gentleman. She comes back. Soon after that, this Italian gentleman comes down and says, oh, a mother and two daughters, tell me about the trip. Well, we tell him. He gives us 2 restaurants in Rome and gives us his phone number and says, when you are in Florence, please give us a call. And my mother said, thank you very much. Put that in her little pocketbook, and off we went. The restaurants were fabulous in Rome. This man knew how to eat. Went down to the Amalfi Coast, and for any of you who have been to Il San Pietro on the Amalfi Coast, I know you'll go back. For any of you that have not, remember the name, go. You might spend every penny you have, but you've still got time to make it up. But it is, without a doubt, the most beautiful hotel I've ever been to. We stayed at this hotel. We had a wonderful time. We had dinner around a table of mixed assorted dinnerware, and that was it. I fell in love for the first time with plates. We ended up going to Florence. We were staying at a beautiful hotel. You only had cash and traveler's checks during that time. Mama had it all in her pocketbook with her passports. She said, I'm going to buy you all a piece of jewelry, us a piece of jewelry to remember the trip. Didn't see anything yet. Went down to a fabulous restaurant, drank a bottle of wine, toasted Daddy, toasted us, came upstairs, had our one and only fight, which was Mama wanted a taxi. It was a moonlit evening in Florence. We wanted to walk. We walked. Motorcyclists came by, pushed Mama, grabbed her pocketbook, and we lost everything. So the next lesson, when you're in Italy, never go to an Italian police station. It is a complete waste of time. 3 hours from here to here, we were kind of cute, young people. The next morning, Mama says, remember that nice Italian man? We need to call him when we need help. We called him. He was there. It happens he knew we were coming that weekend, so he was waiting. He picks us up. He lends us money. He gets us passports, he takes us to lunch, and he says to Mama, and what would you like to do? She goes, I'd like to see the Leaning Tower of Pisa. So off we went, and during that time, we told him about the place. With that, we were coming home, and we end up going down a road that has this incredible house, which is in the book, and if I see the picture, I'll tell you. And it was a woman named Tita Bozio. Tita was old, Florentine, had worked for Macy's. She said, fabulous design, the worst factory in Italy. They're crooks, don't do it. Well, of course, we said, we'll take our $2,000 Daddy gave us. Mama will invest $16,000, and we're going to try for $20,000. Now, I didn't know what an asset or a liability was, nor did Francis. I mean, I started the pediatric play program at Duke. Francis was an industrial engineer who was now having babies. We didn't know, industrial designer. We didn't know a thing. But what we did is we started carrying notebooks. And I went everywhere. I went to see Sarid. I went to see Brian. I went to New York. I sat with John Townsend, East North Carolina, and he told me how to write a balance sheet. You know, what was a balance sheet? And we learned everything, and then went back the next September. Fabio, the man in Italy, had said, if you come back, I will negotiate with you. So we went. The vendor, Don, the only Don of the Amalfi Coast, Vincenzo, said, no, the prices I gave you were wrong. So we went down to a little town called Paestum, an hour and had one of those crank up, adding machines, and figured out the absolute highest price we could pay for a plate. We didn't even look at other things to be able to get it over. Well, we made that happen. We worked on our first design. That is Frances Mays' house. Under the Tuscan Sun, there's a chapter on her. But we knew we were going to begin. So we got into the first gift show. I know we have 1 minute, so I'm going to quickly go through this. We got into the first gift show in New York. We were standing there. All our friends had brought a table, chairs, and everything else. And we had these beautiful people come in. And you know they're important buyers because they wear their tags turned around. And they looked at our product. We had 12 plates on display. And finally, one of them sat and said, we want to tell you what we're going to order. They ended up ordering $12,000 worth of dinnerware, and it was Neiman Marcus.
Wow.
The next March 23rd, we had rented a small warehouse that a Southern Season used for Michael Barefoot. He was there too. Next to the most important house of ill repute in Durham. And we called Brian Mora, we called Robert Kelly, who was a British Moorhead, and all the Carolina soccer team and Moorhead scholars. Two of them went to the bus station, got everybody we could find, and my beautiful 56-year-old mother brought everybody from Rocky Mount, and we unloaded our first container. All 30,000 pieces of it, and that was when you did stitch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We created style numbers, and about 5 of us stayed up all night and made sure the next morning we shipped Neiman Marcus. They have been an account of ours for 40 years. With y'all, but this is a culmination of 40 years. It is called Italy on a Plate, Memories, Menus, Travel Memories, Menus. I chose 7 people, places that have been really important in these 40 years, and I wrote about them. And then I called them and said, I'm going to write this book, and can I write about you? And of course, none of us knew what it was going to look like. See, certo. So then I asked them for family recipes. So each chapter has their recipes. They're simple, they're delicious, they use less sugar than we do, so the desserts, there's a chocolate almond cake that you can taste the bittersweet chocolate. And then We had these beautiful Italian young women who were photographers. Bill and I were over, and we shot pictures with the families and with everybody, and that's the book. The last one is Bringing Italy Home. It's in Chapel Hill, and it's related to how our home, Francis's home, we hope represent not only a beautiful environment that feels Italian, but the spirit of Italy. They never ask what you do. They ask how you are, what's growing, what are the colors of the season. The other thing about being friends is, as Southerners, we will meet somebody and I'll talk to Rob and really like him and think, I want to have him over, or he and his wife, I really like them. It'll take about 3 times where it just isn't fitting. It's not going to be a friendship and we move on. Italians who feel like they're your friends, it takes 3 or 4 times of getting to know you to invite you to their home. And when you are invited to their home, you are friends forever. So lessons learned. First off, as a new business person, always have a board of advisors. Daddy had died. Francis and I didn't know what we were going to do or how we were going to run a company, so we invited 5, at that point, men who were friends of Daddy's. One who had made a lot of money and lost a lot of money. One that had been in a family business. Somebody who was our uncle who had gone to Harvard Business School, so we thought he knew everything, and plus he was family. We had a salesperson, and then I can't even remember the last one. We didn't pay him until we made some money, and one of them said, it's time to pay us $500. We said, okay. We've had a board, all of our times, people who know our board say it's a Fortune 500 company level board. We listen, we take what they say, and we act upon it. Another is, as I said before, get to know the least important person at the lowest paying job in your company and know their family and know them, because they are the ones that make your company run. Be fair and try to promote people within, but also be very aware that it's hard at the top to have friends and colleagues. And if you do, it's an incredible relationship. John's wife, Steph Perry, and I worked together for years, and I would call her my dear friend and my colleague. Another would be, for me, is to always stay in your mission and your vision. There were many times we wanted to go mass market, and we were discouraged by our board, and thank goodness we didn't do it. We now sell to over 2,000 specialty stores and the top 500 luxury stores in America, every department store, online and in store. We have a wonderful outlet store that's online and physical, and we have a retail outlet as well. We have had relationships for 40 years. We keep relationships in Italy as well as here, and we have 2 vendors every year who come during Christmas and go to our top stores to sign plates and to see a bigger world and to see America. So I think I've gone over, I could go on and on about Vietri. I also have written 5 children's books. We have a dinnerware called Old St. Nick that probably some of your grandchildren or you had when you were young. Old St. Nick is a great organic guy. He cuts down his trees, and his animal friends help him make all the toys. And every year we have a new kind of special group in it. Well, the original designer, Alessandro, and I was saying, what else can we do? So we wrote these books. One is Coming of Age, when small Nicholas is given by his father his coat and gloves and says, it's time for you to fly.
There he is behind you, right there.
Oh, yeah, no, that's not, that's Stefano Roselli.
You're right.
Then we have one that's about cooking, Buon Appetito, so you can cook with your children. One is about Good Friends, Good Earth. The animals give Santa trees, and they plant trees, and they talk about saving water and fish. One is called Caring Hearts. Love it. All the children get on a bus and go see their favorite relative. Oh, I was told, okay, well, anyway. We'll just stop. Okay, and then the last one is really dear to my heart because we wrote it right during COVID. And the story is called, Sempre Amore, Always Love, or Your Family Members. And it's called Caring Hearts. The animals come to Old St. Nick always in June to start making the toys. And there are thousands of letters, and they can't find Nick, and they finally find him in these letters, and they start opening them up. And they say, please, we need you now. We lost our toys, we don't have food. So the children and the animals talk with St. Nick, and they say, we're going to go see our favorite teacher. Well, the favorite teacher is Jerry Bell of Bell Leadership, Dr. Bell. And we had Dr. Bell, and it looks just like him. And what he tells the children is to play smart, play hard, and play together. And if you do that, you'll figure it out. So they go back, and they're looking at a globe, and they figure it out, and somebody lends them a plane, and they fly all over the world, and they drop toys and medicine, and they come back, and Santa's holding, welcome back to Caring Heart Club. And they come back and tell him, and he goes, this is what the world needs. So, Vietri, let me tell you one, I'm thinking of things people ask. The name Vietri. The first factory was in Vietri sul Mare on the Amalfi Coast, close to Salerno. Well, it was originally called Vetro sul Mare, glass on the sea, because it was a glass-blowing village. The west winds changed. Somehow an eye got in. Well, after the third day going with a driver, this hour and a half to get there on a winding road, Mama said, I'm paying for you to be with me on vacation. We're not going back. So we said, yes, ma'am, but we had kind of gotten what we needed. We were driving back, and we said, well, what should we name the company? And I think it was Mama we looked at the word Vietri. In Italian, if you reverse the syllables, tre vite is 3 lives. If you put, in French, trois vies, 3 lives, we said. It's going to be hard to pronounce Vietri. Once they do, they get it. But we'll always remember because it's 3 lives, my mother, my sister, and me. I've been very blessed with an incredible life. I would say I have 2 keys to the cities in Italy. This is a funny story. The first one, they called and told me this, and I didn't think about it. I was leaving 5 days later, and I say to Bill Ross, who's my husband, I said, I'm going to get these keys to the city. I guess I'm going to go to the city hall, get a certificate. He told Mama, and Mama calls and goes, well, we're going. I said, Mama, I've got to work. This is just this. She goes, we are going. So Mom and Bill went over. Well, thank goodness. They took the piazza, the intersection. There's a little ceramic museum. They had a big tent. They had 150 people seated outside. They had an Italian marching band and majorettes. They had never seen cheerleaders. They were the cutest things. They had an opera singer, and the officials in Italy are very official. And I had to thank them in Italian, and at that point, my Italian was not as good as it is now. I'd say that I tell you that because I think the last thing I would think about as far as lessons learned is you will know throughout your life, as we all do, those people that love you just the way you are. And I got married late. I made a choice to be married late. I married the right person. If you do not know Bill Ross, you are missing something in your life. He's a super guy. But I didn't have my own children. Well, the friends of mine that are here, that know me so well, there were ups and downs in business, certainly. Always there's ups and downs. They were always there telling me how proud they were of me and to keep going. And as a 72-year-old woman and someone that has really dedicated her life for my siblings to do well and for to grow a company, friends that stand behind you that way are priceless. So, little gooey here. I'm really tired. I've been traveling a lot. So that's about it from me. Any questions, Jim?
A single customer to 20,000 or whatever it is requires going from doing everything yourself to learning to delegate. So as you, and typical entrepreneurs struggle with scale. What did you have to learn, and what were the headwinds, and what did you have to learn as you went from a place where you knew everybody and doing everything to having to scale it up and delegate?
Yeah. The question he had is, how do you, as an entrepreneur who's used to leading, making things happen, do it all, scale it up to sizes? You know, I think it happened 3 significant times in our business life. And again, having a board of trustees really helped. I asked a lot of questions, so I had friends who had built businesses, and I had people that I could talk to, Brian Keeler, about it. When do you do it? How do you do it? Very hard thing to do. I mean, for years, I thought December 31st was the end of my life, and I had to go back in that hole and build it up. Why I couldn't get it in my mind it was just another day was huge. And that is part of that competitive feeling of wanting to grow. I learned, I was very slow in learning not to do a lot and work all the time. I'm still slow at that, but look at my job. I mean, it's hard not to work when you have a job that takes you all over the world and you're around people that are creative and smart and want to grow as well. But learning that we had to divide and conquer. You know, we needed more technology. I did not know it. I tried twice to hire presidents of the company, and I failed miserably with 3 times with all 3 of them, until Holly Drawn, who had been with me 11 years, was the perfect person, and I made her president at 38 2 years ago. So I think it's just when you can't do it all and you realize that you're only going to grow if you have a little time.
Since COVID, have you had supply side problems, getting international shipments, labor problems, that type of thing that most businesses I see now are facing? And how are you compensating for that?
It's a great question. You know, we do nothing in China. We believe in fair trade. We believe in women-owned companies, and we believe in Italy. So when this happened, so many of our factories were small that we made a decision to buy everything they could make. In Italy, you could not go to work if you lived more than 5 miles away. That was the rule. So we didn't know how we were going to sell it, but we said, we're there for you. We are going to buy from you. We decided, I think I woke up one morning and I called up Holly and I said, I think I've got an idea. And it was that our stores didn't have good websites. They were just starting to do websites. And we knew a lot about retail.com. So we said, let's teach everybody. Let's have lessons online, because the pie gets bigger, right? With every part that grows, the pie gets bigger. So that's what we did. We spent that time teaching our stores how to build websites and also creative ways that they could still sell and leave things outside, because we were able to ship. COVID was a huge year for us because we were doing those things. We were drop shipping for every major department store in America for our product. So they were really marketing us. The next year, like everybody, we didn't know what it was going to look like. So last year, where we would end up with $3 million, let's say, worth of paid inventory at all times, we had 6. Very poorly managed. The person leading it did not have the technology for it, so we were in a mess. But this year, I'm really proud to say we've gotten it all gone. So it was, how do you do it? Who's going to do it? How are we going to be responsible? We hired a young, fabulous guy to head up purchasing, and we told our vendors, it's going to be a horrible year for you. They hung in there because they believed in us.
Well, 2 things. A statement first. One, we have a remarkable lady here, but I'm not sure if you've all read what Jennifer accomplished just yesterday. She got, for Habitat, a grant from the Bank of America for $200,000.
And Brian, I want to say in addition to that, as you know, Jennifer is unbelievable. I mean, she's unbelievable. And the way Rotary, we pledged $40,000 for 40 years, and 40 years of business. And when we heard about you and heard about Liz starting the panels, I called up Jennifer and I said, this is what we want to give our money to, because we want to join hands and make it worldwide that there are panels for Habitat. And that had to do with Liz and y'all and Jennifer.
Susan, you told us about 2 key turning points in Rotary's trajectory. One was the Neiman Marcus order. The second was preparing for, even though you didn't know it was coming, COVID.
Right.
And there's any other key moments that just suddenly that took you ahead and you were able to cope with. And then the other thing, Susan says she's trying to slow down. She has spent the last year going to 80 different stores around the country. Talk about all the people coming to Siku House from all over the country. Susan's been there and worked there. So I don't know how you managed to do that.
Well, thank you. Yeah, well, I tell you, this morning I was a little foggy and I thought, I'm really tired. So if I have made sense, I'm so happy. And if I haven't, it's the reason. I would say a family business is the most difficult kind of small business, large business you can be in. And our mother said to us early on, I don't care how well Rotary does, it's going to be sold if it hurts your relationship. And my stand always was that Frances came first. And it was hard. I'm the younger sister and I was made the president for many reasons, one of which was I was single, she had 2 children. But there were lots of reasons. It was not easy on Frances, which made it not easy on me. But those, I think once we got through that, that was a big turning point. I'd say the most recent is having a fantastic group of young people. I do not run Rotary anymore, I mentor. They luckily ask me a lot of questions. I get to design and I get to write books. I'm just finishing Italy in a Glass, which is going to be wines and aperitivi in really cool places all over Italy. So I get to do things like that and build brand. But having a group of young people who are passionate, who are in the know today. Holly has an MBA, she has everybody with KPIs. Everybody knows everything about the company. We share not the total detail of profits, but our key leadership understands that, but everybody shares in knowing where our sales are, and that's been huge.
What's a KPI?
A key performance item or index. It's a key performing, they meet, and every department has KPIs, and then they have under that goals for them and a time they're going to be completed. And they do it.
Do you have a big designer staff for your products?
No, we don't. Ours used to be the only one. We have a fabulous, do we have a designer staff at Vietri? We now have Natalie Riddick, 33 years old, fantastic, who travels with me, and she manages the overall design. But we work with factories who also design. Every factory, like every interior designer, has a look, a style, a different kind of clay, a different way of mouth blowing glass, a different way of weaving straw. So we work with about anywhere between 30 and 40 factories at all times. So we create kind of what is the next look, what's kind of turning, what's not done well, and then we think about the vendors and we communicate, we're thinking about this, we're thinking about that, and they do the same thing. And then we get together and brainstorm it. So they're only in design, there are only 2 of us and a half.
Out of how many total?
There's 74 employees.
Got time for one more question.
How do you keep your prices affordable?
That's a really good question. For our product line of ceramic and glass, wood, everything for the home and garden, you'll see a lot of product made in China. When you see our price and a price in China, you better believe that their margins are about 4 times what ours is. Also Portugal. The government of Portugal gives incredible incentives for artisans. Italy gives nothing, and their taxes are outrageous. So it's all, again, about relationships. It's about what can they make it for, what can we sell it for, and what is perceived value. So if, first off, if you don't want the little dot of paint or the animals looking different or the edge being a little off, which is all about handcraft, then buy something that has a decal. We have no decals, everything's a handcraft. It's going to be a little more, but it's not that high.
Follow up. Will solar help you make things more affordable?
Will who?
Solar.
Oh,
Will it help your company?
I have no idea if it's going to help our company. I doubt it. We're not solar, but we're certainly proud to be able to say that we help with solar and habitat, for sure. There are 4 people that have a sticker under their chairs. No?
What?
Okay.
What's it?
Alex, Nick it down.
He left, but if you want to hang on, we can.
No, must be present to win. We can all agree on that.
James Hill. Hi, Hill.
Jim is here.
Yay! Okay, Jim gets the first. Let him see the designs. There are 3 designs.
Come on up, Jim. Come on up, get your prize.
Okay, Cecil Rumborough.
Cecil.
Okay, let me show y'all these. These are hand-painted cookies. Look at the look, y'all. No, I didn't. So you get to choose this. Wait, who is number 1? Who is the first one? He gets to choose. You get an old or you get.
Remember mine, we can remember that.
This one? Oh, you missed it. Okay.
Thank you for playing the game today. Come back next week.
And the last is a mouth-blown hibiscus plate. Well, this is our #1 selling item in our whole line. It comes in 4 sizes. And if any of you have been to Venice, I'll give you this one. Venice, there's Harry's Bar, where Hemingway would always go.
and he had a 3-spout pitcher so that they could pour this way, this way, this way. So I had one, and we were looking at it. We took off the handle and made it look like a hibiscus. Flowers fit this beautifully. It comes in all colors. It's mouth blown in Naples. So the last person that gets this, what's that?
Gardner?
Yeah.
Gardner or Elizabeth?
A box that says Pietri on it in gold.
Do they know that you're going to be signing books?
Oh, if anybody's interested, yes, we have the children's books and Italy on a Plate. Italy on the Plate is $48, and the children's books are, they just,
The collector set is $99.95.
That's
and
all.
The individual is $19.95.
Okay. Oh, and one more thing. Paper soft napkins. These are made of spun linen, spun lace. They're just a little bit more expensive than regular napkins, but they're really, really soft. So, and John and his family used them during their daughter's wedding.